therapy. She is celebrating a no evidence of disease report and living out the calling God has placed in her life. She is now turning her pain into purpose and loves to share her story of how God created beauty from ashes. Please welcome Ms. Jami.
Whew. Man, it's bad when you start a speech crying. I haven't even said anything yet. All right, let me get all situated up here. I've got my timer because if there's anything I like to do, it's talk, and I don't want to be up here doing that too long. Good evening. I want to start this evening by doing a little bit of reflection. So if you will humor me for just a few minutes and close your eyes and think back to the month of December in the year that you were 18 years old. What were you doing? Perhaps you were in your senior year of high school and you already had senioritis and you were just counting down the days until you were out of there. Perhaps you'd already graduated and you were working to make some money to get some Christmas gifts for your friends and family. Or maybe you were in your freshman year of college, finishing up your first round of finals. What were your priorities? What was your focus? Now that you have that in your mind, you may open your eyes. In December, all the way back in the 1900s, in 1997, that's when I was 18 years old. I was a freshman at Northeastern State in Tahlequah, and I had been dating the most amazing guy with the cutest butt, according to my grandmother. Well, after I had finished that first set of college finals, I went back to stay at my parents' house for the holiday season. But during that time, I had my first surgery on my breasts at 18 years old. I had found a suspicious lump a bit earlier, and the doctors wanted to do a lumpectomy while I was home for Christmas. While it was terrifying and I would not recommend that experience on anyone, two very good things came from it. I'm just going to get comfortable up here for a second. So two amazing things came from that. The first thing is it was found to be a benign cyst, so I was good to go. The second thing is I realized that guy with the really cute butt, he was the one for me. I knew we were in love and we were destined to get married. Now, fast forward 8 years. So I was in my 20s. I found another lump, and that led to a biopsy. Thank goodness, another benign cyst. But then fast forward again, another 6 years in my 30s. Guess what? Another lump. It led to a mammogram, which then led to a biopsy, and it was decided that I needed to have another lumpectomy. This time it was not a cyst. It was a fibroadenoma tumor, thankfully benign. But here's the weird thing. This type of tumor is only found in adolescent African American women. Mind you, I was in my 30s and clearly not of the type for that tumor, but I'm the lucky one, right? Okay, we're going to fast forward just one more time to a more recent date, February of 2024, just about 18 months ago. Another lump, another mammogram, another biopsy. This time it was different. My phone rang as Paul and I were finishing up lunch at our favorite Mexican restaurant. It was my doctor. This time it was the words that nobody wants to hear. Jami, they're still hard to say. You have breast cancer. The following weeks were a whirlwind of stress. I was told I had 1 day to choose my surgical oncologist. And I made that choice upon the recommendation of my primary care physician. Now, I don't like to sit around and wait. So once I decided that doctor's name, I went ahead and called the office to make my first appointment. The ensuing questions, all the details, and it came up, what is your insurance? Now, my husband and I did not have traditional insurance. So we were told, I'm sorry, we don't take charity cases. You said, what? Yeah, it was not handled very well. But I feel like that was God telling me, it's not your doctor, Jamie. Because the next doctor that we found, that we decided to use, has been an integral part in my journey, and I'm so thankful that I found him. So after that was my port surgery. Now remember, I already told you I'm a problem child, and it continued because I had a terrible allergic reaction to who knows what. Maybe it was the sutures, maybe it was the glue, maybe it was the soap, we don't know. But it delayed my start of chemo for quite a few weeks. When that was getting cleared up and I was ready to start chemo, back to this insurance thing, I was told that I would have to pay $14,000 every single week if I wanted to receive treatment. I don't know about you guys, but we don't have that much money just laying around. So that led to needing to get traditional insurance. And my amazing husband got on the phone and would not take no for an answer. We did get traditional insurance. I finally started chemotherapy the last day of April in 2024. Now here's the thing, everyone knows about the basic bullcrap of chemo, right? You lose your hair, you throw up a lot, you get really skinny, not really the way you want to do it though. But honestly, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And I know there's many people in this room that know more about it, but I would like to share a little bit more of the journey with those that might not be as familiar. Believe it or not, there are some good side effects of chemo. There's some bad, and there's some really ugly. Believe it, there are good ones. So first of all, it was a funny thing that happened. I walked into my appointment for my first session of chemotherapy, and before they even accessed my port or did anything else, they handed me a pee cup. And I just looked at it like, what do you want me to do with that? And they said, well, we need to make sure you're not pregnant. And I said, did you read my medical reports? I had a hysterectomy last year. I heard that one of the side effects of that was that I couldn't get pregnant. I was right. That is one of the side effects. So we all had a good laugh. And honestly, it was kind of a funny way to start the day. Now, the next surprise happened when they accessed my port. Now, luckily, I had been warned about this, and I knew to be prepared, but it still was a little weird when I could taste the medicine in my mouth that they were putting in my port in my chest. I learned to always have peppermint candies or gum of some sort to battle that nasty metal taste in my mouth. Now, I want to talk about Benadryl. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with Benadryl. Trina knows this. I see my friends laughing about this. Now, love-hate. I loved that fat nap that I knew was coming the minute they put Benadryl in my port. In fact, I learned to ask the nurses to tell me before they started the Benadryl because I knew I needed to take a potty break before I fell asleep. That was the good side of Benadryl. That fat nap was lovely on chemo days. But what I didn't know is Benadryl would give me the worst restless leg that I had ever experienced. I was thankful for that nap on chemo days because I knew I would not sleep that night. The restless leg was just insane. I tried everything. I tried stretching. I tried magnesium. I tried walking. None of it helped. And I just knew I wouldn't sleep that night. Now, the next side effect, the one that everyone knows about, and it's pretty gut-wrenching. It's the hair loss. I thought I was ready for it. Honestly, I was kind of a bit excited about it. See, I had always wanted to shave my head. I always did crazy things with my hair. I wanted to shave my head, but my husband, Paul, was not too keen on that idea. So I honored him and didn't do it before then. I thought, yes, I won't have to fix my hair every morning. But then it happened on Tuesday, May 14th. Yep, it's a date that I know. My hair started falling out in handfuls. It wasn't fun like I thought it would be. It was like a gut punch to my stomach. I didn't realize that so much of my identity was wrapped up in my hair. You see, I always sported a fun, vibrant purple mohawk. I usually wore it slicked back in a fun pompadour. But more than anything, losing my hair was the first tangible evidence that my life was not the same anymore. The next day, I grabbed my clippers, and with my mom's help, I shaved my head as my daughter did the same over FaceTime with me. Now, I read that you shouldn't shave it all the way to the scalp because you could get really bad ingrown hairs. So on the clippers, I put it to a number 2 setting. Here's the thing though, I had these little baby hairs and they were still falling out everywhere. So you know those like sticky lint roller things for when you get pet hair on your clothes? That's right, I was lint rolling my head to get all those pesky little hairs out. So next time you grab your lint roller, just take a second to be thankful that it's for pet hair and not to be used on your head. Now, fun fact, your hats don't fit right when you don't have hair. Another fun fact, wigs are hot and itchy and terrible. Fun fact number 3, I thought I got a lot of crazy looks for walking around with a purple mohawk, but they were nothing in comparison to the looks I got when I walked around completely bald. Now, while we're talking about hair loss, I want to cover a few other things. Here's the good side, no shaving my legs. Ladies, I saved so much time. Yeah, that deserves applause. That takes a lot of time in our life. Now, here's one of the bad things. I had to make sure that I always had a Kleenex with me because it's not just the hair on your head that you lose. Obviously, I lost it on my legs. I lost my nose hair. And that means that my nose constantly dripped. There were days I just wanted to shove that Kleenex up my nose and leave it there. Now, here's kind of the funny part. Now, I know we're at a nice event, and I probably shouldn't talk about bodily functions, but anyone that knows me, especially the people at this table, know that I'm going to keep it real. Now, you see, Paul and I had been married for 27 years, and in that entire time, I had maybe only let a little toot slip just 1 or 2 times. Yeah, I'd pass those silent ones, but he never knew about it, so it was just fine. There was no farting in front of him. I even had my son convinced that I did not fart. I fluffed. He's 22. He might still believe that. Well, remember, all of my hair had fallen out. All of my hair had fallen out. Little did I know that flatulence was a little bit easier to keep quiet when I had hair, if you know what I mean. No hair meant no sound buffer. And also, chemo causes insane gas. You guys know what's coming. We're laying on the couch in the living room, and I thought, I'm just going to let a little something slide out. To my amazement, it was a man fart. I mean a man fart. Thankfully, we found the humor in it and knew it wouldn't last long, and he just laughed it off. Okay, So now that my mom is appalled that I talked about farting from stage, let's move to another good side effect of chemo. Now, I'm curious, let me know if you've ever seen the 2013 Brad Pitt zombie movie called World War Z. Has anybody seen this? Okay, so some of you will know this scene when I describe it. In this movie, Brad Pitt is trying to find out what is causing this zombie takeover of the world. And at one point, he is in Israel trying to assess the situation there, and he's just observing, and all these zombies are running down this road, and he sees one lonely kid just standing there with a look of fear in his face as these zombies are running at him, and he kind of cowers down, but the zombies run around him and completely ignore him. Spoiler alert, you've had like 12 years to watch the movie. So, spoiler alert, the zombies don't like anyone that's sick. Well, the same thing happened with mosquitoes and me. I used to get bit by mosquitoes all the time, but while I was in the throes of chemo, mosquitoes would literally hover over my skin and fly away. It was absolutely fabulous. I kind of wish that side effect stuck around, but sadly, it has not. Okay, now let's move on to food issues. I am a foodie and I love food of all kinds, but chemo had a different idea. I had these little blue emesis bags that became one of my new accessories. I had one in my purse. I had one next to my bed, next to my recliner, in the car console. You guys get the idea. I could no longer eat spicy foods because spice levels were like amped up like you would not believe anymore. And I could not finish any meal without my dessert of my papaya enzymes. That's natural Tums for those of you who don't know. The heartburn was absolutely terrible. Then later in treatment, the mouth sores came. I couldn't eat crunchy foods because of the mouth sores. I couldn't eat fruits or any acidic foods. They prescribed this stuff called magic mouthwash, and you would think it was fabulous, but I hated this stuff because it made my whole mouth go numb. It was awful, and I did not use it. I eventually found a toothbrush that I swear was made from the fur of baby rabbits. I don't know how they made those toothbrushes, but they became my best friend. I also had to switch to a kid's toothpaste because, as my son used to say, regular toothpaste was too spicy. Just couldn't do it. So the bubblegum flavored toothpaste was where it was at. Now, much like my hair was one of my signatures before treatment, I'm a girl who likes to get her nails done and a good pedi all the time. That was out the window. My nails hurt so bad that I could not stand to have anything on them or have anyone touch them. Now let's move on to smells. Now, first of all, you need to know that I am a Scentsy fragrance consultant, and I've done that for over 17 years. Here's a little plug. There's a fabulous basket at the back of the room that you should put in for the raffle. Anyway, just imagine me trying to do my job when I couldn't stand to smell anything. How was I supposed to sell fragrances that I really couldn't even describe? And speaking of smells, chemo has a very unique smell. Now, I didn't smell it in the bags, but it came out of my skin. Now, we've heard about it a little bit earlier, but let's talk about neuropathy, the gift that just keeps on giving. Even several months out of treatment, I still deal with a lot of side effects of neuropathy. You know, life completely stops during chemo. Every decision and every plan centers around appointments and treatments. My life was no longer my life. I love to travel, and we always have trips planned out in advance. I had to cancel 4 trips during treatment, one being a completely free trip to Hawaii that I had worked really hard to earn. Okay, let's move on to some more good. I got to spend so much time with God. I felt closer to him than ever before. I had some really bad days. And on those days, I didn't even know what to pray for. So I would simply say the name Jesus over and over and over. And on those days is when he met me the most. I could close my eyes and picture my Heavenly Father in the recliner and me curled up in his lap, just like I used to do in my daddy's lap. And that's how I got through those really bad days. You know, I think the worst part of chemo is the pity. I would see it in their faces. I would see it in second glances. And I would see it in their well-intentioned smiles. But I didn't like it. And let me tell you, people will say some pretty stupid and idiotic things to you when you're in the middle of a tragedy. These are actual things that I heard. My sister's neighbor's aunt, she had triple negative breast cancer too. It was so bad, I had to watch her hair fall out, and she lost so much weight. I hope that doesn't happen to you. Why would you say that to someone? Oh, this was always a fun one. My cousin's brother's aunt, because it was never someone they really knew. My cousin's brother's aunt, she had cancer and she just ate a bunch of apricot seeds and she got better. You should try it. Okay. But the best one, and I say that very sarcastically, was when I would hear the story, my grandmother, she had cancer and she died. Thanks, is what I wanted to say. There's a lot of things that you should choose to talk about before you choose to talk about cancer with someone that's dealing with it. How about religion? You should bring up religion with them. Politics, that's a fun one. Let's talk politics. You know what? Let's talk about our personal finances because those are all better than talking about cancer. I know most people are well-intentioned, but sometimes it's just better to stay quiet. Even on my good days, the reality of my life was always present, and it still is, especially when I walk by the mirror and see the difference in my body shape or these crazy curls. I am no longer the person I was before March 19th of 2024. Cancer has changed me. I miss the old me, but I'm learning to love the new me one day at a time. I just read something the other day that really stood out to me as true. Cancer makes the really important things even more important, and it takes the unimportant things and makes them even less important. For that, I'm thankful. And here's another thing I know to be true. Without purpose, cancer and all the BS that goes along with it just plain sucks. But with purpose, it has become a platform for growth, change, and opportunity. There are some amazing things that has happened as a result of the hell that I've been through in the past year and a half. I've been given multiple opportunities to share my story, not only making an impact on others' thinking and outlook, but guys, this has been my dream since I was a little girl, to be on a stage with a microphone in my hand. Now, I thought I was going to be the next Reba McEntire, but that's all right. I'll take sharing my story over singing if it can make a difference in someone's life. I'm currently working on my first book. I know it's going to be a great tool for many people because not everyone will get cancer, but everyone goes through a tough time. And I'm looking forward to sharing my story of just keep going. And the most exciting thing is the launch of my brand new business, which launched today. I've started a new business called Comfort Beanie, creating cute and stylish headwear that's also comfortable for chemo patients or anyone that is dealing with hair loss. But right now, I want to talk about the goodness sitting in this room. This room is full of people working to make the life of anyone affected by cancer a better life. We have so many businesses that have stood behind the Stonebrook Project with donations for the raffles, the auction, and so much more. So please take note of all the businesses and support them. But most importantly, I want to honor my friend Edie and anyone else involved in the Stonebrook Project. You are working to do so much good in this world. Now, I'm thankful to have learned about breast self-exam at a young age, so I knew when I found my first lump to go have something done with it. But not everyone has that education. Thanks to Edie, she's out there in businesses and groups telling them about early detection, the importance of self-exams and mammograms. And you know what I would absolutely love? If there were so many businesses requesting this education from the Stonebrook Project that they had to hire a full-time educator. Wouldn't that be amazing? And your money could help make that happen. Now here's the thing, it sounds awful to say, but I was lucky enough to have people in my immediate circle who had been on a cancer journey before. Some of them are in this room right now. And I was so grateful that I could call them and talk to them anytime I had something come up or a question about treatment. But not everyone has that. And thanks to the Stonebrook Project's community cancer group, that's available to more and more people. Now let's talk about those massages for a minute. Before my diagnosis, I would occasionally treat myself to a massage, but that was it. It was a treat. But when I was in the throes of treatment, massage was essential to my physical and mental well-being. Did you know that physical touch actually releases oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine? All of these reduce stress, pain, and anxiety. That's why massages are so good for those of us going through cancer. My oncology massage from Jessica and then from Brooke would be one of the few times that I could really relax and rest. Sometimes I would just lay there quietly. Other times I would pray. And sometimes I would talk Jessica's ear off. But those conversations meant so much to me. Now that I've had a mastectomy, I'm still in the loop of reconstruction. In fact, I'm leaving in just 14 days to travel down to New Orleans for yet another surgery. But through all of this, manual lymphatic drainage has been a game changer for me, and I wouldn't have even known anything about it without the Stonebrook Project. It is my hope that you never have to deal with cancer. I hope it never attacks you or your family or your household, but statistics show that diagnosis rates are growing at an alarming rate. And that means that we will never know who it's going to grab next. For that reason, I support the Stonebrook Project and everything they stand for. Friends, please be generous tonight so the Stonebrook Project can continue to make a powerful and positive impact in the world of cancer.